Knoll Nation. Sorry for the wait, guys. It's been a rough one. I had a bit of a veterinary issue with my dog Lucy today. Didn't get to make it to Tallahassee, but we're here for the post game live. Jake was supposed to be with us. He had another emergency that I won't get into, but just hope everything's all right on his end. He couldn't make it, but man, our guys go out and handle business at home versus Virginia Tech. I had this game. If you follow the channel, if you saw the podcast I did with Boundary Corner podcast co-host Brian Sigla, I had it 38-21. It came in pretty close. We ended up 39-17. And of that 17, 7 points was on a crazy kickoff return where the guy took it for 99 yards from the one. Special teams coverage units have been amazing for us this year. It's been a super strong spot for us. They felt like they could get one of those hang time kicks on the one and make a good play. And hey, Virginia Tech made us pay for it. They're trying to get back to that hard-nosed team, play that old school, even Beamer ball kind of stuff on special teams. And they made it happen. They made some good plays in this game with Tyrone Jones, like we worried about coming in, but they held him pretty efficiently. He didn't have a crazy stat line. He ended up, Tyrone Jones, 12 of 23, 84 yards with 13 rushes for 78 yards. That was when we went into garbage time. That's kind of where I went with the stats there. Trey Benson, guys. I saw a couple comments in there, but yes, Trey Benson in the running game got it going. It was great to see them go. Trey Benson had 10 carries for 192 yards and 2 tutties. Unbelievable. He really had a great running game. Toa Philly was no slouch either, with 6 carries for 50 yards before garbage time. Johnny Wilson, he had 2 tutties. And in my notes here, what I kept writing about Johnny Wilson is steady hands Johnny. Steady hands Johnny. He was making steady hand catches. Kareem Abdul, thank you so much for the super chat. We love to see you back here in the chat. What grade will you give our defense? Honestly, if I had to say a particular grade for the defensive effort, I'd probably say a B, maybe a B plus. It wasn't the greatest thing ever. It wasn't the greatest game they could have possibly played, but at the end of the day, you give up 10 points against a really dangerous quarterback in Tyrone Jones. I hate to toot my own horn and keep going back to my prediction, but I just kind of saw it playing out like this. We got ahead enough to where we got to see the backup quarterback. I hope you guys can hear me all right. It seems like I'm having some issues here with my headphones, but yeah, look, the defense, Adam Fuller gets a hard time, but the defense blitzed and they got home a lot. We got to see Jared Verse get his first actual sack of the year, so super happy for him on that. In this game of football in 2023, it's just they're going to pick up yards between the 20s. It's just going to happen. And 10 points in a 4-quarter game is just, it's hard to complain about. I mean, that 7 yards on that special teams really sticks in your craw. It changes the emotions of the game. And yeah, penalty Knowles. Man, I'll tell you what, that Byron Turner penalty kills us, but at the same time, I saw Mike Norvell fighting for his guy. So I don't know, can we blame Turner on that so much as it's just one of those bang bang plays? And the call went against the Knowles there, and that was another drive extending play there with him. Conrad Hussey, my guy Conrad Hussey. If you've been following the Renegade Report at all, the Renegade Rundown, the voice of college football, FSU Real Talk, over on Spear Addicts, I've had Conrad Hussey as going to be the #1 impact true freshman of the year, and sure enough, he comes through with just a great game. When he got in there, he made the absolute most of his time in there, with whether it's big hits on the line of scrimmage, or also if you saw the replay they showed where they actually showed it backed up in the full 22 camera, you saw him playing the the free safety position beautifully. Shadowing one receiver and covering his responsibility and then breaking off at the end. It was a beautiful thing to see Conrad Hussey handling all his assignments, whether it be in pass coverage or, making big plays at the line of scrimmage like we saw. I could not be happier with Conrad Hussey, and just happy that he's starting to become more reliable for the coaching staff, and they're more happy to leave him in there in clutch situations. Also, as we hope for Johnny Wilson to be all right, and them just playing it safe, keeping him out. I'm not sure if you saw, number one got out there quite a bit. Akeem Dent, you can tell he's not back to 100% being himself, but he was out there. So look for Akeem Dent to slowly work his way back, maybe get some more snaps against Syracuse. I guess we'll see how that went if we don't see him against Syracuse. Also, I wouldn't read too much into that. Just they're trying to work him back. Obviously, it was some kind of soft tissue deal, even though you won't get any information like that out of Mike Norvell with it being, 3 or 4 weeks, and they're trying to work him back. I fully expect Akeem Dent to be healthy at the end of the season when it matters the most. I didn't get a chance to see if they got Robert Scott in the game, or Smith made the entire game. I'm sure somebody can let me know in the chat. For whatever reason, they don't ever show a wide enough angle where you see the tackles. Let's see here, Cream. If Miami keeps winning, can we commit 100 yards of penalties against them? Look, the penalties have got to be fixed. I'm not here, I can totally defend some of the plays that Byron Turner won. I thought it was on the line. The issue for me is him falling on him and doing the kind of crush thing. The law that they brought in the NFL that's trickled its way down to the NCAA. They don't want to see you landing with your weight on these quarterbacks in that sort of crushing motion. So they're going to call that every time, especially if it's, one of those close hits after the quarterback threw the ball. Gary West, thanks for letting us know. Yeah, Robert Scott did get to play. So the Noles getting healthy and playing great, man. You'd like to see. We still haven't seen 4 great quarters. We saw a great first quarter, and then I'm fine with the second half. I thought we saw a great, championship time second half. Everything except for that kickoff return. But what are you going to do about special teams? There's only so much you can do. I don't see that happening again this year. They found a seam, they hit a play, but what are you going to do? But looking back at the first quarter, this is the first time all year that we've got, outside of Southern Miss against a Power 5 team, that this team has got the possessions that Mike Norvell wants to get. And when you look down it in the first quarter, again, praying for Johnny Wilson, hopefully that's something minor. But you come out the gate, and in my notes here, it's Johnny Wilson touchdown grab, 2 points. Benson, it seemed like in the first quarter, Benson was still tippy-toeing a little bit, unsure of himself, but they kept giving him the ball, and slowly but surely you saw him get better. The defense comes out immediately, in the first quarter. They had a 3-and-out right off the bat, we had another Heisman commercial in the first quarter of this game. Again, no Jameis Winston. He still hasn't made it into the Heisman commercial yet, unfortunately. But they kept giving it to Benson again. He got several more touches there early in the first half, in the first 5 minutes. Gets loose for 19 yards. That was a real big play for his confidence. I was really happy to see that one there. Keon Coleman did not have a big game today. Unfortunately, they missed him in the first quarter on a big play that probably would have been a touchdown if, him and Jordan Travis would have been on the right, shall you say, on the right terms, having better timing there. He probably has a touchdown, but it doesn't happen. But that leads us to another crazy body surfing touchdown by Lawrence Toafili. Shades of 2021 Clemson. This guy, you think he's down at the 10-yard line, and he never goes down. Steady, just hopping like a bunny. This time he kind of rode it like a surfboard, like a wave, into the end zone, touchdown. And I mean, I don't know how many times a guy like that, it's pretty amazing for Lawrence Toafili. And I couldn't be happier for the guy. And I hope his dad's watching. He's an active community in the chat boards and stuff. So props to Lawrence Toafili and another amazing body surfing play, just surfing other players to touchdowns for Florida State, and you gotta love it. 5 games in, smell solid all around game against Q's. Yeah, Q's. Look, they're nothing special this year, but you gotta respect them. Just like kind of like Virginia Tech, they've got a running quarterback. I'm not sure how he's doing. I'm not sure what they did this week, if they've got a bye week or what, but the guy's dangerous. He's been there for like 10 years, it feels like, just because he started as a true freshman. But we'll get to Syracuse when we get to Syracuse. We'll try to stick on Virginia Tech. Um, Lee Williams with this one right here. I'll speak on this before I go on with the game review. This team is Jekyll and Hyde, and JW doesn't deserve to be in a Heisman commercial. Okay, well, everybody has their opinions. I personally think Jameis Winston deserves it. He was a heck of a player in college, and yeah, no doubt, Kareem. We've got to respect everyone. That's college football in this day and age of the transfer portal. There are players everywhere. You don't have teams that are just completely inept. You have teams that have pieces. They may be new pieces that they just got out of the transfer portal, but they fit. Man, that running back they have. What? Somebody dropped the name in the chat. It's like it's a total meme name they gave that kid, but he was unreal. He runs the kick return back for a touchdown, and I believe he probably had 60 plus yards of their rushing yards on the ground. The quarterback, man, he was something. But yeah, Tyrone Jones definitely got held in check. I was really happy with DJ Lundy. Another big game for him. He makes a big play in coverage on 3rd and 6 to make it 4th and 6. Keon Coleman makes a punt return in this game, something that we haven't had much of. He made great decisions tonight back there. He had the big punt return there in the first quarter, along with letting one go that I felt like he made the right choice to let go there around the 20-yard line. Also, a little bit later in the game, again, Johnny Wilson, he had that second touchdown still in the first quarter. Those drills with Nick O'Leary, whatever they were doing, it looked like they were tossing quarters the past couple weeks, working on catching with the single hand drills with multiple different little small items there. Hey, that thing is working for them, and they're taking off. And I'm just couldn't be happier with Johnny Wilson's performance. And you just hate to see that he went down with injury. It was also pretty cool. If you get to ever make it to a game and make it to those great tailgates that Spear Addicts Den Media Group put on, if you ever get to make it to one of those, you know that you're liable to see a guy like Peter Warwick or Snoop Minnis show up. Well, it was really cool seeing Peter Warwick down on the sideline in the ear of these players during the clutch moments of the game, giving them words of inspiration and just kind of, I believe it was Johnny Wilson after one of his touchdowns. P-Dub was over there congratulating him and giving him a pat on the shoulder. So I really love seeing that. Virginia Tech students, it's like the second or third strive of the game, and those Virginia Tech fans switched over to Florida State's side. I thought that was pretty funny. I had to write it down. One of the funniest things you'll see, Virginia Tech fans giving the chop in Doak Campbell Stadium. I thought that was hilarious. Gilbert Edmond is a guy that we talked to you guys all preseason about. Look, he's not going to be the greatest pass rusher in the entire world. He's not going to have 10, 20 sacks probably, but the dude can play the run. And again and again and again, he shows up along with that second string offense, or not even second string, that second wave offensive line. He comes in and makes plays against the run again, and again. Keon Coleman, you could see he was kind of getting a little aggravated on the sidelines. Not anything crazy. He wanted the ball. He was eager for an opportunity. You saw it there. It just didn't come about. I think he's going to be all right. They tried to hit him on several plays. They tried to hit him on another play. I think it was a roughing the passer or something. The ball came back for holding or something other else. I can't remember exactly what happened with some sort of delayed game. But it's not like they didn't try to get the ball to him. It was just all about the run game, in this game. Trey Benson went off, and he kept breaking play after play after play. I want to give a shout out to Azaria Thomas. That dude made one crazy one-handed interception on the sideline, somehow gets 2 feet down, and Byron Turner, we mentioned it earlier, gets called for roughing the passer on a bang bang play where he just happened to kind of follow through and really kind of crush Drones. So picked up the call and it wiped it out. But look, guys, Azaria Thomas, it might be just by next year that you're talking about a All-American type guy. I think Azaria Thomas is eventually going to be a first-round draft pick and one of these great Florida State defensive backs to come out of Tallahassee. There's no doubt about it. I've been big on him ever since he got here, and he slowly but surely is living up to that, borderline 4-star, 5-star status that he brought with him to Tallahassee. I kind of, put in bold here in my notes, Byron Turner, another late hit. It's kind of selfish. The more I've felt, I'm not so hard on Byron. It just seems like he's kind of had some real bad luck calls this year, roughing the passers. When I saw the replay and Mike Norvell, sticking up for him, I felt like maybe I was a little hard on him. We'll have to look back at my notes from other games. But Byron Turner just has to be much more careful in those situations. Can't keep getting these penalty calls. How far will we move up with the Texas loss? So I'm going to say that we'll definitely move into the top 4, Kareem Abdul. Again, thanks for another super chat, man. Kareem Abdul, he's probably the most, loyal guy we have in there. FSU, Voice of College Football. He's in here every week throwing down super chats. Thanks so much, man. I think we definitely jump in that top 4 as far as being one of the top 4 in the playoff team. And I'm not sure it's not going to be many more weeks. I believe it's week 7. They dropped the college football playoff rankings. I think we will definitely be either number 3 or number 4 when that college football playoff rankings drops. Now, we also have Kentucky playing Georgia right now. Maybe y'all can drop some scores of the other games going on. Texas lost. They drop out. They're not going to drop too far, but we will definitely jump Texas, and that'll put us in the top 4. But, if Georgia loses to Kentucky, far be it from me for Kentucky, who's kind of a University of Georgia light. They're not really built to beat a Georgia. It's going to be tough for them. They try to do exactly what Georgia does, just on a bit of a smaller scale. But we don't know. Georgia has not seemed invincible this year. They can get got, and Kentucky and Missouri look like 2 of the better teams in the SEC. Missouri gave LSU everything they wanted today, and LSU with a pick 6 late secured that victory against Missouri. And hopefully they can get a bye week or something. LSU, man, they have had a rough, kind of month and a week or two. It looks like 14-0 UGA. So, yeah, not looking so good for Kentucky beating UGA. It looks like UGA is kind of getting rolling here the past couple weeks. But, yeah, I definitely think we jump into the top 4 for sure. But we'll have to wait and see if we jump an extra spot. I think pollster is going to be real reluctant to put us up there until I don't know when. The pollsters they just love to hate on Florida State. It seems like we have to just win out and just go undefeated and win it all and just leave no doubt in their minds. But they're going to make up every excuse in the book now. All of a sudden, that LSU win doesn't look so great. So thankfully, LSU won that game and goes to 4-2. But the Noles, hey. We're 5-0, 6-0 if you count the bye week. I think we won the bye week. If you want to read into that, what you will. We got to see Robert Scott come back. We saw a healthier Morris Smith. We saw Akeem Dent getting back in the action, work back in there. And when you see this defensive line and how much healthier and fresh a Fabian Lovett is, when you see a guy like Malcolm Bray, can we take a second to talk about number 99? Holy moly, boys. Malcolm Ray is a player, guys. He's a guy that's kind of been looked over. He's been here for a long time. But the dude is really, really stepping up and making plays along that interior of that defense, along with Farmer, who also continues to make plays. Again, Jared Verse finally getting a sack. Could not be happier with the defensive front. Braden Fisk, man, that guy plays with so much effort, lives in the backfield, and I can't wait to see him just clobber a quarterback. He's going to really catch somebody unsuspecting this year. but dude makes so many plays back there and forces the issue and pushes plays into leverage for sure. He's a great player, such a great pickup, and just a motor guy, just what the doctor ordered to go along with the different pieces we have. Um, Unfortunately, this is the kind of, as we go through the plays of the game in the second quarter, I believe Drones takes off for that 40-yard run, and you kind of, oh man, here we go again. Here we go again. We're going to let him take off. But really, that 40-yard run, they end up getting down there to 4th and goal. They end up getting a field goal try. It bounces off the upright, and they get 3 points. After that, they get a big stop, obviously there. That's kind of where the offense got stale. The 4th and 5th possessions for Florida State, you end up with a couple punts. It wasn't that just 4-quarter performance, guys. That's about it. Besides that, it was solid, all the way around. You come out from halftime, and when you get Trey Benson running for 62-yard plays, and I believe the other one was an 85-yard play, Jared Verse finally gets, on the field with his sack. You can't be, happier for this team, okay? You had some false starts here and there. You had some late hits on the quarterback. But at the end of the day, the team went out and they handled business. And they won convincingly. I mean, I just hate that they had that special teams play. If we could just wipe that special teams play off off the board, this is a totally different game. They only put up 10 points. You cover the spread, 39-10, 29-point victory. And that's what they were going to get. They weren't going to get any more. We got a good question here from my guy Kareem. Do you think switching out the defensive line is good? Well, guys, this is something we heard about in the spring. We heard about it all summer going into fall camp, and Mike Norvell and the defensive staff doubled down on it. When they were doing their research in the offseason, looking at bringing in guys from the transfer portal and how they were going to eventually use the squad throughout the year, they saw that the top teams in the country, the teams that won the national championships year in, year out, rotated their defensive linemen. That each defensive lineman, their starting 4 defensive linemen, did not play more than, I believe it was 53% of their team defense's overall snaps. Now, the question for me when it comes to how this team kind of changes out their defensive linemen is the hockey style substitutions or the spot substitutions. Do you pull guys out one at a time and still rotate with the same number of snaps, but just always with one guy, kind of off, never with the exact starting 4 or the second 4 out there? There's a case to be made for that. Personally, I'm fine with how they do it now, but I believe in the second. I prefer spot substitutions when it comes down to the 4th quarter. In the 4th quarter, there's times when you just, certain plays, certain third downs when you just have to have Jared Verse out there. You just, want to have Fabian Lovett out there. But it's a great question. And, a lot of people have different, theories on it. I know a lot of guys prefer the spot substitution and just cannot stand those line changes. But I think in this game, you didn't see kind of the more giant differences in the 2 different lines. I think both defensive lines, kind of the first wave and the second wave, really went out there and handled business and really got after the quarterback, stopped the running game. There was nothing, nothing too out of hand there. I was really happy with both lines, and you couldn't really tell much of a difference beside the numbers. You saw guys like Malcolm Ray, like I mentioned earlier, and Farmer really showing out today. So yeah, I don't have any issues with the D-line rotation. And yeah, I'd have to go back and watch the film to really get a good handle on those false start penalties. But yeah, he definitely had a few, and we got to reduce those pre-snap penalties and just boneheaded penalties. We didn't have any outside. I believe we have 1 defensive holding. We didn't have too many crazy. What's the word I'm looking for here? We didn't have too many penalties that had to do with our guys, style of play out there. It was just, kind of like Kareem says in his comment, focus penalties, a false start here, a Jared first, trying to time the snap count and leaving it, a little bit too early. It's nothing where a cornerback got out leveraged and just snatched the guy down, or say the left tackle got beat so bad he had to snatch the guy down by his collar. Nothing like that. But still, you got to clean that stuff up at the same time. Guys, everybody, thanks for joining us. Make sure you get your questions in the comments, and we will get them up there. How important is it for Rodemaker to get sufficient snaps in case Jordan goes down? It's important, guys. We would have liked to have seen, and I've, kind of the reason that I picked the score that I did at 38-21. I thought we might get to see those backups a little bit sooner. I was hoping we could have seen the Noles go up a little bit more early, whether it be the beginning of the fourth quarter, maybe late third quarter, get to see Rodemaker come out there. But unfortunately, that just wasn't the case. You don't want to talk about it, man. It's kind of the elephant in the room. Jordan Travis, we need him to be there. We need him in the game. This team, especially the offense, goes as he goes, and we've just got to have him. So it's super important. You can't even put an importance on it. It's super important, Kareem. I don't. But I feel super comfortable with him if it comes down to him taking care of one game or one half of football. Where you run into problems where if Jordan happens to go down, for an extended period of time, if you're talking about having to have him step in for an ACC championship or a playoff run, it just kind of is what it is, and just you got to cheer for Jordan to get back, or for Tate to go out there and kill it. But at the end of the day, this team kind of goes as Jordan Travis goes. So there's only so much you're going to be able to do by getting Rodemaker in there. Just Jordan did a good job of sliding outside of that one play where he had the kind of awkward slide. Ended up getting it worked out because he got the targeting penalty. But man, I'd rather just eliminate that totally than deal with that. Also, I want to remind you guys, don't forget about TicketSmarter.com. They've been with us since the beginning of the year. Make sure you guys use them. If you use the promo code BIG for $10 off any purchase over $100 at TicketSmarter.com, and also the promo code BIG20 to save $20 off any order of $300 or more at TicketSmarter.com. And they're all guaranteed safe, totally secure. You don't have a better place to go than TicketSmarter.com. Make sure you go check that out and use those promo codes. BIG for $10 off anything over $100 or more, and BIG20 for $20 off any orders of $300 or more. And concerts, whatever you want to do, TicketSmarter.com will get you taken care of. So go go look at it. Linebackers have been great. Randy Shannon, I've voiced my opinion about, kind of the coaching staff and where they should have went, possibly upgrading in the offseason. I was also pretty hard on Chris Thompson, the tight end coach, and he's totally proved me wrong. And Randy Shannon, I've never been down on Randy Shannon's coaching ability. The guys that he gets his hands on, he coaches them up, and I think he's been, like, when he came in originally, I believe it was as an analyst mid-season, like 21 or something like that, maybe 20. You saw instant impact with the linebackers the second he got here, and I was happy to have him in there. My only kind of busts have been in recruiting, so yeah, I'd give him an A for coaching the team. We can talk recruiting, at a later date, but we still have plenty of time before signing day to see who we can land, and nothing we can talk about, but there are some big fish out there, possibly that could end up in Florida State's recruiting class before it's all said and done. So yeah, don't count Randy Shannon out, and he's got these guys coached up. I couldn't be happier with the top three guys. Deloach, Tatum Bethune, and Lundy have all been great, and you're seeing more and more and more of Omer Graham Jr. getting out there and making plays a lot, not just in garbage time, but really getting out there making plays. Again, if you missed it earlier, Trey Benson, guys, goes off, 10 carries, 192 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a run of 85 yards. He had a run of 62 yards. He had a run of 19 yards. You know, one of the big storylines going into this game that we cannot forget was the run game. Everybody was up in arms about the run game. It wasn't so much about going into this game to get 1,000,000 points, but they wanted to go out there and accomplish, some goals for this team. Stay undefeated in the ACC conference race and get the run game going. Get everybody healthy. Keep Jordan Travis healthy. Get him back and ready to take on Syracuse next week. And I think they caught Trey with 200. Yeah, he may have. Like I said, those stats that I read off were just before garbage time. Again, Toafili had 6 for 50 before garbage time. But yeah, they both probably got a couple more carries after garbage time when the last 5 minutes or whatever it was there of the fourth quarter after we stopped them and it was 39-17. But yeah, Trey Benson went off 200 yards, 2 tutties. What can you say about it, man? I mean, he finally, like I said, he kind of started off kind of still tiptoeing in the first quarter, not quite in the groove, but all of a sudden he really got it. And once he hit that 19-yarder, he had the confidence. And then bam, 65, bam, 85-yarder. You can't be happier with Trey. Oh, excuse me, guys, I had to get a drink. But yeah, I'm really interested to see go and watch and see what Mike Norvell has to say about the team's effort. Again, when you look at it, it kind of, they came back at one point. It was, I believe it was 32-17 or something like that, a 15-point game. And you thought, okay, if you don't get a stop here, they've got a chance to really make it a close game again. But the team woke up and they did what they had to do. They didn't give you 4 quarters all together, all 3 phases, but they did what they had to do against a lesser team that kind of found themselves last week against Pitt. Say what you want about Pitt, they picked up an ACC win last week. This was no gimme game, and the Knowles handled business. They had to do what they do, and yeah, that 85-yarder by Trey was unreal. Are you only talking to Kareem? No, Kareem's just my guy, and he's got. If you look at the comments, he has a ton of comments, man. Sorry if I missed you there, but yeah, we love everybody. We love talking to everybody. We need to improve our defense, and we are not able to stop the run, and we need to get off the field on 3rd down. Yeah. Again, we held him to, I believe, 78 yards rushing before garbage time. As far as the quarterback goes, he had 84 yards passing. So you'd like to see, less than 100 yards rushing total for a team and total domination on 3rd down, but they were actually 0 for 9 on 3rd down. I believe going into the 4th quarter, we stopped them just about on every single 3rd down. Anthony, it's just they went for it on like 4 or 5 different 4th down conversions, and they converted the first 3 or 4 of them. In the 4th quarter, late in the 3rd, 4th quarter, we eventually stopped them and turned it around. But yeah, they were going and getting down into those 3rd and 4th down situations, and they went for it on 4th down, and they kept getting them. So, and obviously, the Knowles handled business. They did what they had to do. Was it perfect? No, but oh man, don't head out of here, Kareem, man. We got to have you talking. But everybody's welcome right here at the FSU Voice of College Football post-game show. Another victory for Florida State around the country. Unfortunately, the University of Florida, after being tied up with Vanderbilt early in what looked like a dogfight, they get kind of a little cushion and they end up taking it to Vanderbilt. I'm not sure what the final score is, but it was like 38-14 the last I looked. Somebody can throw the score out. Looked like Colorado has had their hands full with Arizona State earlier. Clemson, I have got to see the highlights of this Clemson Wake game because that was an absolute weird one there. They had a final score of 17-12 in that Clemson Wake game. I'm not sure what the heck was going on there. UCF, buddy, in the world of the Big Four and the state of Florida's college football landscape, UCF, woo, they wanted to be in the Power Five. Well, they got it, and they've been having a rough go of it the last couple of years. Um, I think Kansas ended up putting up over 50 on them, but just really took it to UF. Um, Bama, the last I saw, was up on A&M 26-17. I'm pretty sure they finished them off. So Bama handles business. Not too much crazy stuff. The only real big shocker was that Red River rivalry over there with Oklahoma and Texas. And boy, Texas sure looked human today. I'll tell you what, that Oklahoma team in that bowl game. I told a lot of people, if that's any sign of what they're going to be to come, watch out, because Oklahoma is really going to cause some teams some problems this year. And here they are. They take down Texas, and all the better for us. Moves us up in the rankings, but don't be surprised if Oklahoma can finish it off if they're one of those names competing for a playoff spot at the end of the year. If we want to play ball with the big boys, we have to improve with our pass rush. Number 5 and number 11 are okay this season and the second. Not sure what he meant this season and the second, but yeah, that's been one of the issues that people have had, that the pass rush wasn't getting home. But I know people don't want to hear it. When you look at the advanced stats and you really look at it, I think Pro Football Focus has had Jared Verse listed as like the number 1, number 2 defensive end in college football each week. Teams are really doubling and triple teaming him, even with chips and stuff like that. But yeah, we've got to get home. Aggressiveness like Byron Turner Jr. We can't allow issues. We can't allow penalties to come from trying to get home. But we've got to get these sacks. And I guess he was talking about the secondary. Secondary has to improve. 23 cannot cover. I'd have to disagree with you on 23 can't cover. He's had a couple of rough performances. He's in position a lot. Where I think 23 could really improve is maybe worrying a little bit less about penalties. He could be a little bit more physical, be a little bit more grabby with these receivers. Seems like he gets beat physically quite a bit, but it's kind of one of those things where, guys, we're nitpicking. We beat the team 37-17. Like, yeah, we're setting a high standard, and the standard is the standard, as Mike Norvell likes to say, and that's why we're going to sit here and talk about it and nitpick it, but yeah, at the end of the day, we have the players out there in the secondary to get it done, and I wouldn't give up on Cypress just yet. But at the same time, with guys like Azaria Thomas coming along in that secondary, making amazing plays like he has, if Cypress isn't getting it done, they could stick Azaria Thomas in there over him. We've got options, and number 1, again, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but number 1 was out there quite a bit. Like I said, it doesn't seem like he's 100%, but he was out there. We saw Akeem Dent. We saw Robert Scott. We saw Maurice Smith. We saw just about all the defensive linemen we love out there. Braden Fisk lived in the backfield all game. Malcolm Ray lived in the backfield all day. Jerry Verse got off and got his sack. Insane Mob with a nice comment here. Go Knowles. We're 5-0. All these people in the comments need to stop BITCHing. Hey, man, everybody gets their say. We're happy. It's all right, man. If you're going to let it out now in the instant reaction. But yeah, there's nothing to be too upset. Nothing to be too upset about, man. We're just nitpicking at this point, and we're wanting to see this team really take it up to the next level and put it together for 4 quarters. But hey, they took care of business. Again, I picked the game 38-21. It ends up 39-17. You can't ask for too much more than that. And again, 39-17, it was actually only 10 points they scored on offense. When you put up 39 on offense and the defense holds the other team to 10 points against an impressive running quarterback like that, regardless of who you're playing against, Virginia Tech, the transitive property does not work. They're not the same team they were. they got it done. Okay, they blew the team out. They didn't. I'm not sure if we covered the spread. Let's see, 39-17. It was close. I think we only won a little bit under the spread, but excited, and we still got another chance to kind of blow a team out of the water. Syracuse has not kind of lived up to the expectations here in year 3 or 4 with their quarterback Garrett Schrader, I believe his name is. Um, they're having a rough go of it, so we should be able to handle business against them next week. Um, and we'll have another chance to put 4 quarters together. Maybe this team doesn't put 4 quarters together till the first playoff game. I don't know, guys, but what we're seeing out there is a team that's evolving, and they're not making the same mistakes over and over again. This coaching staff is working through it, and you see the pieces out there. You see the talent. You see the front seven. You see the secondary players. You see all the pieces of a playoff caliber team. You see the quarterback. You see the running backs. You see the wide receivers. They just have to keep working on putting it all together, putting it together for 4 quarters, and getting it done. Great first quarter, but after that, we just didn't look like a playoff team. Virginia Tech was one play away with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter from another BC type game. They damn near converted another fourth and forever. I hear you, man, but shoulda, coulda, woulda, never did. Look, we can spin it any way you want to spin it. At the end of the day, the final score is 39-17. 7 points of that was on special teams, and yeah, it, it was a 15-point game, before the Noles kind of took over the momentum. Um, I don't think on that play that you're talking about when he rushes up the sideline and gets close to a conversion. Look, I would have went nuts, flipped my TV over, all that good stuff if he would have converted it, but I didn't feel any danger of converting it. I think they played it how they wanted to, and they had a guy ready there to push him out. If it would have backfired, you'd have never heard the end of it. We'd all been pissed, but you just can't do that in football. This is Division I FBS football, and our guy made a play, and theirs didn't, and that's that. Only so much more we can talk about it. But looking forward to Syracuse. Um, Guys, we're at home for another 2 weeks. I haven't heard anything on the Riley situation, but you've got a Syracuse team that's been getting blown out left and right. A Clemson team that you beat last week destroyed them. I believe it was like 31-14 or something like that. So you've got another opportunity to get out there and get healthy and make some stuff happen. We still don't know about Duke, so the main thing is just get healthy and handle business, and watch these guys stumble as more and more teams get into their conference schedules, and it gets serious around the country. I couldn't be happier with the Noles at 5-0, and I see an undefeated season well within reach. Interested to see how Miami plays the rest of the year. They've got to play Clemson and North Carolina before they face us. If you mess around and have an undefeated Miami and an undefeated Florida State, that would be absolutely nuts. And wow, I mean, you're talking about an unbelievably hyped matchup. North Carolina gets Tez Walker back to touch back on that situation. I'm not sure if you guys saw it, but Florida State lawmakers are actively starting to put out the message that they will, in fact, pursue litigation against the NCAA, just like the North Carolina AG did on behalf of Tez Walker. It's insane. This guy couldn't be happier for Tez Walker. I'm happy he's getting his qualifications, getting his ability to play. But it's super extreme, similar situations. Two guys that both transferred, picked their new destinations. I believe were even enrolled in school before they changed the rule. And now, since one state finds a way that they can, move forward with antitrust litigation against the NCAA, they say, oh, well, they add in the sentence saying, oh, well, they brought forward new information that that if they'd have just provided this information before, we'd have made them eligible. Well, all the information was that, they were going to come after them in court for, breaking antitrust laws. That isn't new information. That's just, calling their bluff. So That is not in the spirit of what the NCAA is supposed to be able to do. The NCAA is supposed to look out for student athletes, and they just come out there and like, oh, we did what you want. You said it was out of control. We're gonna stop it. This and that. And so it's just like it's a pissing contest between them and the schools. Just their last ditch effort of being able to like kind of push control. But we'll see what happens with Daryl Jackson. There's no reason whatsoever. Um, it's kind of a holding on the university and the different politicians out there to decide what they're going to be able to do, see if they can find some kind of antitrust similar, whether they need to get with the AG from North Carolina and figure out where they were able to push the NCAA's buttons. But this guy's, someone who transferred to Florida State with a sick mother, to be closer to her and, well within the guidelines and the precedent that the NCAA set as far as transfers, and then they get together and completely change it. I just don't understand why they couldn't wait till the next year, or at least grandfather people in that would all already out there. It's like, here's a guy that could possibly lose an entire year of eligibility. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to redshirt it. Maybe if they get his eligibility, maybe if it comes through, there's a possibility. Say it comes through with only 3 or 4 games left in the season, that he could get to play a few games and get his redshirt year. That's a possibility. There's a possibility they could go to court and overturn it, and they'd be able to use the redshirt on this year so he doesn't lose any of his actual eligibility going forward. We're just going to have to play it, by ear. But as it stands, he's going to lose a year of eligibility, and it's just a crying shame for a guy who did exactly what he thought was well within the rules. And I agree 100% with my guy, Smooth Criminal here. He says the Benson touchdown after the touchdown, the kick return touchdown, is a sign of a top 4 team. You're absolutely right, Smooth Criminal. Those are the kind of plays, and why I'm not, like I said, upset, why I kind of blow off some of the negative comments. I'm not on that same level. I could have been. I was right there, teetering on the edge when it was that 15-point game, and it seemed like it could have went either way. But they come out and get that kick return immediately to cut it into a tighter game, and then immediately, within, I believe it was the second or third play, bam, Trey Benson goes, and just a huge, huge, huge play for him. And of all people to go off in this game, you just could not be happier to see Trey Benson be the one to go off in the game. And again, with all the hubbub, kind of with Oregon and all the celebrities, you've got the NFL, you got the Swifties, with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's thing. Florida State has a different kind of celebrity, different kind of atmosphere on the sideline, and seeing guys like Peter Warrick, the guy that should have that Heisman Trophy, the national champion who took care of Virginia Tech in the national championship with that unbelievable catch. See him roaming the sidelines, that put a really big smile on my face, and I love seeing that. And for him to be on there for that win was amazing. I'm sure all the guys, James Coleman, Chris Frazier, Spear Addicts, those guys were all up there at the game. I know Plant Spear, my guy Jesse was up there. He made it down. Kelvin Hunt from Chop Chat, who we've had on my show, made it down. Again, I had an issue with my poor puppy Lucy, and so we had to take care of some veterinarian stuff and get her healthy, so we didn't get to make it to the game. But hey, the Noles come through and they get another victory. Don't forget to go to ticketsmarter.com again. That's big for $10 off any purchase of $100 or more, and big 20 for any purchase of $300 or more, $20 off. Again, that's $10 and $20 off. 10 is your promo code big, 20 is your promo code big 20 for 300 or more. Look, people, Anthony, I see he's got another comment. He doesn't agree about us being a top 4 team. It's up for discussion. But look, you can say what you want about Washington, and like Smooth Criminal says down there, yeah, they deserve some love. They absolutely do. Oregon looks damn good, but some of the previous connotations and the idea of some of these teams, when you look at the schedules and who they're playing, I just think these teams that Florida State is playing, and people are saying they should have did this and should have did that, it's highly overblown. I think these are D1 football teams in the ACC conference, and I think we're doing pretty damn good. Are we the no doubt number one team in the nation. I wouldn't give us that. But who is? Who is the no doubt number one? Who are the no doubt four? There's nobody in the nation that has a better resume and a better claim at that than Florida State. Florida State, Michigan, um, Georgia. Like really, Georgia doesn't. Based on their resume, they don't, but they're Georgia, and they've won 2 championships in a row, and they're undefeated, and they're in the SEC. So Georgia's in there. Florida State, Georgia, Michigan, and then Ohio State. They've shown plenty. They've got the big win against Notre Dame. Those are my four. If you had the playoffs tomorrow, that's who it's going to be, with Penn State being right there, with Oregon being right there, with Washington being right there. It's just a shame that the 12-team playoff isn't in 2023. It really is the perfect year that we could have had a top 12 playoff. You could have, Air Force as your one group of five team. You could have had literally 10 deep the whole, all the way down it. You could have had Georgia, Florida State, USC, Oregon, Washington, all these teams in there for sure. Alabama could have got a shot at the playoff um, without having to necessarily win the SEC. So Alabama could get hot and go on a run. So it'll be real interesting to see the Pac-12. The thing about the Pac-12 is those teams all play each other. We've already played Clemson. We already played LSU, out of conference. So we played Boston College, and we've played again today. We played I don't know, blank here, Virginia Tech. So we've got 3 conference games already under our belt. 5 conference games to go. You got Duke, you got Miami. 2 or 3 other conference games. Nothing that really scares you outside of that Miami game and the Duke game if Riley Leonard can come back. But if Riley Leonard doesn't make it back, you're basically just circling Miami. Florida looked a lot better against Kentucky, but yeah, I don't know. I'm on the bandwagon. We're a top 4 team, and hands down, even with a loss in there sprinkled in somewhere, I'd still like our chances of making it if we can win the SEC. When you look at the ACC versus SEC and the different conferences out there and the out-of-conference schedule we have versus other teams still with Florida on the schedule, regardless of how they kind of end up. Yeah, we play too many teams on our schedule to not make it if we handle business the rest of the way. I hate we didn't get to see more of the backups. We didn't get to see AJ Duffy and Tate Rodemaker for a whole quarter like I kind of hoped. But your Seminoles, they go out and handle business. Yeah, thank God LSU won for sure. Strength of schedule and the pundits and the narratives, it really gets aggravating week in and week out having to talk about it. But yeah, thank goodness LSU beats the Missouri team, who really was playing as good as any SEC team out there to this point. Would they beat a Georgia? No. I think they'd find out, kind of like Kentucky's finding out, that even though Georgia doesn't look great every game, doesn't win by 1,000,000 points, that's the thing I'll say to the guys in the comments. The guys that are super negative and down and saying all these things about, oh, we're Florida State, the Russian defense can't have this, we're not a top 4 team, that. What exactly do you think it's like in a Georgia comment section after the past 3 or 4 weeks? And they're the unanimous number 1 team. Like, everybody still has Georgia number 1. Okay. And what do you think they're saying when they beat Auburn by 7? Do you think they're in there, oh yeah, our defense is amazing, all this, they gave up 17. We only gave up 10. I'm not sure if one of theirs was a pick 6 or something, so I can't say that. We gave up 10 in a special teams touchdown. I don't know how you can be upset with your defense for giving up only 10 points. I think that standard is a little tough. I think the offense, if you're going to be, on anybody for this game, I think the offense maybe could have been a bit more productive in the middle of the game. Maybe got complacent. If there's one thing, but hey, one thing I failed to mention, how about our guy from Edna Carr, the true freshman, the 19-year-old Destin Hill, with an amazing, and I want to say amazing, back shoulder play. It was a great play. whoever the damn announcer is. It seems like no matter what kind of play, Florida State, if it was a good play, bad play, they had some kind of angle to where it was something negative. Oh, well, that could have been so much better if they'd have just done this. But in my eyes, it looked like a back shoulder throw all day. Um, and a beautiful, beautiful play by Dustin Hill. Super happy to see him get his name in the stat line and make that play and get some confidence, hopefully, going as the season goes on. And again, just to circle back, if you didn't see the game, Johnny Wilson had some kind of appeared to be some kind of knee injury. I thought it was maybe he got rang up, maybe a head injury at first, but announcers appeared to think it was a knee injury. He wasn't limping off crazy or anything like that. He didn't have any crazy, they didn't give any crutches or a scooter. He didn't get carted off. He walked off with the two trainers. Man, it was hilarious seeing Johnny Wilson walk back to the locker room with those trainers. He made those trainers look like they're from Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory or something. I mean, they were tiny, 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 tiny compared to him. He's just a giant man. Um, but yeah, Johnny Wilson, before he went down with that injury, boy, if he plays like that in every game and if he's available, there's nobody out there. I don't care. If he would have played like that against Clemson, Nate Wiggins would not have had the game he had on him. Nobody would have had the game they've had on him thus far this year. He was just Johnny, for lack of a better term, on the spot in this game. He made big plays over the middle, big plays on the sideline, and just caught the ball. Everything that came his way, he was smalling it up. And I could not be happier for Johnny Wilson and also Trey Benson, who ends the day with over 200 yards. His first 10 carries, 192 yards. Unreal on the day, averaging 20 yards a carry. Um, and maybe now you'll get some of the people off Florida State's back as far as rushing. Jared Verse goes out and gets a sack. The team rushed the passer all day. Gilbert Edmond continued to live up to the hype, playing against the run game. Tyrone Jones, the team did not let him beat him. Yeah, he broke off a 40-yarder, but besides that, he ends the day with 78 yards rushing. So that's 38 yards the rest of the entire game outside of that 40-yard rush. So Tyrone Jones, we'll see what Virginia Tech does the rest of the year. He's an impressive young man. I'm sure he'll continue to get better and better. But yeah, this O line, the D line, couldn't be happier. Maurice Smith has to eliminate the penalties. We can't have all the false starts and things of that nature. I didn't see many holds, so that's a very good thing. Virginia Tech's offensive line going to this game, they kind of had a bad rap. It isn't like, we went up against some All-American offensive line, but I was extremely happy with how the defensive line played all the way through, 8 men deep. Yeah, that's about it, man. It's great to be a Florida State Seminole, to be 5-0. I think that bye week really came at the perfect time, and you really kind of saw in that fourth quarter what is possible when this team is fired up on all cylinders and playing complementary football. And it's just going to be hard, to manufacture that against a team like Virginia Tech and some of these situations. I thought they did a good enough job bringing energy for all four quarters. And look, you're talking about just depositing into the bank plays from guys like Conrad Hussey as we inch closer and closer to a possible playoff run. This is an experienced team. Whether you think it looks like a top four team right here at this moment or not, um, you can't deny they have top four talent and top four ability and are going to be able to be in there. And there's not a team in the country that we don't have a chance against. I don't know if we would be favored against every team, but I don't think there's a team out there that would be anywhere over a touchdown for sure, but probably more than 3-point favorite against us on any neutral field. And we have as good a chance as anybody in the nation to go out there and win a national championship. If it turns into a track meet, Jordan Travis, Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman can go up there and run it down up and down the field with the best of them. And this defense comes to play, and they can win a defensive battle as well. So I keep seeing these performances. Defense gives up 10 points this week. They only gave up so many points, 24 points against Clemson. I'm happy with it. We love you guys. Null Nation, again, check out ticketsmarter.com. Again, that's big and big 20 for your two discount codes. Big for $10 off a $100 or more purchase. Big 20 for $20 off, $300 or more purchase. And thanks again. Thanks for Mark Rogers letting us do this thing every week and putting this together at the FSU Voice of College Football. Thank you to everybody in the chats. Thank you to Florida State Seminole Nation. Thank you for all the well wishes for everybody, for my dog Lucy, and I'm hoping that Jake Crane and his family, everything with their issue is whatever I had going on is taken care of. And go Noles, baby. Health, everything orange as always. It's all about the Noles. We love y'all. See you next week.